Number 25. At least 80% of humanity lives on less than $10 per day. Number 24. To put things into perspective, the top 20% of the world's population accounts for 3/4 of the world's income. Number 23. Half of the world's population accounts for only 5% of the world's income. Number 22. According to UNICEF, 22,000 children die every day due to poverty. Number 21. Nearly 1/3 of children in developing countries are estimated to be underweight or stunted. Number 20. Last year, about 70 million children of primary school age were not in school. Number 19. Nearly 1 billion people celebrated the coming of the 21st century without being able to read a book or sign their name. Number 18. Preventable diseases like malaria afflict nearly 500 million people every year. Number 17. Africa alone accounts for roughly 1 million deaths due to malaria annually. Most of them are children. Number 16. Speaking of children, there are 2.2 billion children in the world. Number 15. Half of them live in extreme poverty. Number 14. Over 1 billion people have inadequate access to water and 2.6 billion lack basic sanitation. Many times this means there's no separation of drinking water and toilet water. Number 13. That's why 1.8 million children die every year of diarrhea. Number 12. Approximately half of the world's population now lives in cities, and about 1/3 of those in the cities live in slum conditions. Number 11. In fact, slum growth is outpacing urban growth by a frighteningly large margin. Number 10. 1/4 of humanity lives without electricity. Number 9. The 7 richest people in the world make more than the poorest 41 countries combined. That's roughly 567 million people. Number 8. 0.14% of the world's population owns over 80% of the world's private financial wealth. The vast majority of that wealth has managed to avoid all income and estate taxes, either by the countries where it's been invested or where it comes from. Number 7. For every $1 in aid that a developing country receives, over $25 is spent on debt repayment. Number 6. The poorer the country, the more likely it is that the debt repayments are being extracted directly from the people who neither contracted the loans nor received any money. Number 5. In 1998, $8 billion was spent on cosmetics in the United States. $11 billion was spent on ice cream in the European Union. $17 billion was spent on pet food in Europe and the US. $100 billion was spent on alcohol in Europe. $400 billion was spent on narcotics globally, and $780 billion was spent on militaries around the world. Number 4. In the same year, $6 billion was spent on achieving basic education for all, $9 billion was spent on basic water and sanitation, and $13 billion was spent on basic health and nutrition for all. Number 3. If you're reading this list, then you are in the top 30% of the world's population when it comes to poverty and wealth. Number 2. With new technologies, we now grow enough food to feed 10 billion people, or 1.5 times the world's population. The problem is that most of the world can't afford to buy that food. And number 1. If the world spent less than 1% of what it spends on weapons, all the previously mentioned issues would be fixed.